Have you ever been in one of those meetings, a brainstorming session, where a really interesting idea gets shot down before it even gets a chance to breathe? Yeah, me too. Today, we're going to dive into a practical framework from the Innovation School Next Creation that's designed to stop that from ever happening again.
I mean, this quote just hits home, doesn't it? It's a frustration so many of us know. A promising thought gets shared, and immediately it's met with, oh, that's impossible, or yeah, we tried that 5 years ago. This right here, this is the core problem we're going to tackle today.
So why does this keep happening? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's because we're trying to do two totally different things at the exact same time. We're trying to think creatively, and we're trying to think critically. And when you mix those two, the loudest or most senior voices in the room tend to take over. And that critical voice, it just shuts down creativity way, way too early.
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we build a little greenhouse for new ideas? A place where even the crazy ones are allowed to sprout and grow before we start poking holes in them? Well, Next Creation has a powerful and, thankfully, a very simple answer.
To really get the method, you first have to understand the people behind it. Gilang Pradadana and Takahiro Kiyofuji. Their story is just a perfect example of how different ways of thinking can come together to create something totally new and innovative. So on one hand, you had Gilang, coming from a deep background in computer science and design. And on the other, you had Takahiro, who came from the world of business and administration. It's this exact mix of skills, the tech and the strategy, the creative and the practical, that made their team so uniquely strong right from the get-go. And their story goes way back, like 15 years ago, back in university, where they were already winning business competitions together. Now, after they graduated, their careers went in different directions. Gilang went deep into academia, getting his PhD, while Takahiro went into the corporate world. But years later, they reconnected, and they found they had this shared passion for something called design thinking. And that reunion, that's what led to them co-founding Next Creation in 2018, with this big mission to shake up how Japanese organizations innovate. Okay, so what is this game-changing idea they built their company on? It's a core principle that is so simple but so effective. Our brains need to operate in two completely different modes. And the number one rule, you must never, ever do both at the same time. So mode number one, it's called divergent thinking. I want you to think of this as planting seeds. It's the go wide phase. The whole point is to generate a ton of ideas without any judgment whatsoever. It's all about quantity over quality here. And this is crucial. Everyone writes their ideas down before anyone starts talking. This little trick gives everyone in the room an equal voice, not just the loud ones.
Then you have mode number two, convergent thinking. If the first mode was about planting seeds, this one is about hitting the target. After you've got this huge field of ideas, you totally switch gears. Now is the time to get critical. You organize, you evaluate, and you start making focused decisions to find the best path forward. And here's the golden rule, and I'm going to say it again because it's that important. You never, ever mix the two. Trying to explore and decide at the same time is like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. You go nowhere and you just kill great ideas. Okay, so theory is great, right? But what does this actually look like in practice? Let's walk through a real-world example from one of their workshops. The problem they were trying to solve is a super common one. How do you keep an alumni network connected and engaged? The whole process is basically a dance between these two modes of thinking. It's a rhythm. Diverge, converge, diverge, converge. You start by going wide to discover all the possible problems. Then you narrow down to define the one single problem you're going to solve. Then you go wide again to brainstorm a bunch of solutions. And finally, you narrow down one last time to decide on the best one to actually build. So for that first divergent phase, discover problems, the team doesn't just sit around guessing what's wrong. No, they actually map out a real user's experience from start to finish. And in this case, they found that the alumni group was just scattered everywhere. WhatsApp, Facebook, email, you name it. This made it pretty much impossible for anyone to have a real central connection. So once they defined that core problem, it was time to open the floodgates and diverge again for solutions. And because judgment was totally off the table, all kinds of cool ideas started to pop up. Things like a skill trading system, or automatically matching people with unexpected peers, or even simple little welcome questions. Fun stuff. So now you have all these great ideas. How do you possibly decide what to do first? Well, they converge using a super simple but powerful tool, an impact versus effort matrix. This is where the path forward just becomes brilliantly clear.
The welcome prompts, high impact, low effort. That's a quick win. The meetups, also high impact, but they're a major project. Suddenly, you have a real roadmap.
Underneath this whole practical framework, there's a really empowering philosophy. It's a mindset that can change how you think about teamwork and innovation altogether.
At the end of the day, it really just boils down to this. Stop debating things to death. The goal isn't to find the one single perfect answer, because that rarely even exists. The goal is to create something tangible, to figure out the very next step you can take. It is all about progress, not perfection.
So, how can you use this in your very next meeting? It's easy. Just 3 simple rules. Number 1, be explicit. Tell everyone, okay, team, for the next 20 minutes, we are only in exploring mode. Rule 2, have everyone write their ideas down before a single word is spoken. And Rule 3, get those ideas out of people's heads and onto a shared space, like a whiteboard or sticky notes, so you can see everything together. By creating that safe space for ideas in their fragile early stages, you unlock the potential for truly breakthrough solutions. Remember, the ideas for things like Airbnb and Uber definitely sounded crazy at first. So that leaves us with one final thought. What seemingly crazy idea will you give a real chance to grow?